Friends, the next section is cybersecurity, an important component of clients' business models. And I invite the business consultant on cybersecurity from Positive Technologies, Alexey Lukatsky.
Good afternoon, colleagues. I am indeed a business consultant. I have been working for the last 30+ years in cybersecurity. I have managed to work in completely different roles. There is probably no role in cybersecurity that I haven't held, starting from programmer, admin, developer, consultant, auditor, and more. And today I would like to briefly talk about how cybersecurity affects safety. I won't scare you, although of course there will be some frightening aspects. But I would like to talk about how cybersecurity is not just some whim. It is often a real necessity when designing a particular business model that allows you to grow your business, earn more money, and ultimately, that is the goal of any commercial company. And if we look at a certain theory on how business models are created, we see that any business model consists of 9 blocks. And in each of these blocks, of course, some aspect related to cybersecurity finds its application. First and foremost, cybersecurity is, of course, something that protects you from dangers. That's exactly what it is called, security. Although in reality, it is a high-level skill when cybersecurity allows for making money. We are not talking about companies that are engaged in cybersecurity for which this is their main activity and they earn money from it. And when security allows for reducing the deal cycle, minimizing it, ensuring geographical expansion, and enhancing customer loyalty, it positively affects business metrics. But that's a separate topic. Today, I will probably focus more on the classical perception of security when we see that something can interfere with our business model elements. In fact, there are 9 components of the business model of any business. Of course, everything inside will change. There, the logistics company has one, the marketplace has another, the fintech has a third, the company that provides, for example, video conferencing services has a fourth, the kindergarten has a fifth, and so on. But all of them, either explicitly or implicitly, are clearly built around these classic 9 blocks of business models. First, we need to determine who our clients are. This could be the mass market, a niche market, working with VIP clients, or a specific category of individuals who will bring us revenue. These could be various marketplaces or platforms. And of course, there is the vivid example of Amazon, a diversified business that started with selling books. Then, I actually moved on to selling a broader portfolio of products. After that, I transitioned into the cloud business altogether. In the cloud, they are now earning more money than from trading books, goods, electronics, and so on. Accordingly, what can a bad guy do here who might attack a particular company? Well, first of all, this is classic. It's fraud, it's denial of service attacks that lead to service downtime. And if we don't notice this much in the mass market, well, at one point I had 1 million clients connected to my platform. And it dropped to 900,000. Well, 100,000, if the attack was small, I will recover that money in the next periods, lower the price, increase the discount, more clients will come, and I will return to my normal business performance. But when I have, for example, a niche market and at most 100 clients, and they are all very demanding, of course, a service failure or downtime can be quite unfortunate, potentially leading to the bankruptcy of the company. At the end, I will show several examples of companies that left the market, declaring bankruptcy due to non-compliance with classical cybersecurity requirements. When we talk about the niche market, it is precisely the inaccessibility of the service and information leakage. For example, I have VIP clients for whom special conditions, rates, and so on are provided. It is obvious that VIP clients would not want their information to leak to the public, go to competitors, and so on. They will want their information kept secret and ensured confidentiality. Any violation of this requirement will obviously lead to the loss of a client, a corresponding decrease in cash flow, and possibly even the exit of the company from the market. Again, such precedents exist. Furthermore, service unavailability and data leaks are common stories. Finally, there is the theft of money and goods, especially if we are talking about digital products sold on marketplaces, such as the same electronic books, the same movies, and subscriptions. All of this can be stolen, and consequently, the company starts to lose money, not earning from what it sells to its customers. So it seems that there is only one direction: consumer segments, and we already see that cybersecurity can significantly influence these indicators. The second direction is, in fact, the value that we bring to clients, some value for which they turn to us specifically rather than to competitors. Accordingly, this can be privacy, which, when we talk about digital transformation, can today be ensured through quantum encryption. This could be speed achieved through the use of unmanned transport, such as various rovers and drones for delivering small packages. This could be AI-based personalization, which has been discussed quite a bit today. Accordingly, what can a bad guy do here, and what should a company think about from the perspective of cybersecurity? But confidentiality and information leakage are like two sides of the same coin. I think there is no need to go into detail about this. A leak is something we encounter one way or another, and we should approach it not as if it might happen, but as when it will happen, meaning we need to be prepared for the fact that an incident will occur in one way or another. From the perspective of optimizing the customer journey and accordingly reducing costs, it's quite simple. A vivid example is various low-cost carriers. They earn by efficiently optimizing the movement of customers from the entrance of the airport to boarding the plane, ensuring the process is smooth and seamless. The faster this chain operates, the less money they pay to the airport. Consequently, they take off and fly away with a fixed cost for everything. An attack on the passenger registration system breaks this chain. The costs for payments to airports are increasing, and accordingly, our economy is no longer adding up. There are more and more such examples lately, starting from February 24th of last year, affecting Russian airports, and if we talk about the world in general, then also foreign airports. Long queues lead to significant losses, particularly for low-cost carriers, while for large airline companies, it is a minor issue. This situation is very differentiated depending on the business model we choose. Next, the takeover of control is also an obvious issue for unmanned transport. A drone was stolen, a rover was stolen. We not only lost the package, but also lost an expensive drone, and we need to reinvest and purchase these devices again, which is accordingly quite an expensive endeavor, meaning these are costs. With the same level of income and increasing expenses, profits will decrease, directly impacting the company's business performance due to the incident related to cybersecurity. Furthermore, if we talk about artificial intelligence, which was mentioned today, it is a separate story regarding the so-called data poisoning. When we input a fake data set into the model, or mix some unrealistic, non-existent, clearly deceptive data into this normal data set, the model accordingly starts making incorrect decisions. And based on these incorrect decisions, we also begin to lose money. A vivid example is a marketplace that evaluates product prices in real time. How many customers are coming, what they are buying, and starts dynamically modeling the price. Accordingly, with the right, so to speak, influence on such a system, it may turn out that the price of a product could drop by half, by 3 times, or even by an order of magnitude. According to the consumer protection law and the position of many Russian regulators in this area, if a product is purchased at this price, even if it was a mistake or some kind of attack, the seller must sell it at that price. But we remember the recent story about the ticket prices of Aeroflot, which faced exactly this situation. The price suddenly dropped there. Almost by an order of magnitude, many of these tickets were purchased, then Aeroflot refused the terms on the sold tickets, and now there are disputes on this topic. This can be done in a targeted manner, influencing the price of a product if a malicious actor knows that the company, for example, uses artificial intelligence in this area. Well, probably the worst scenario is the future. It's too early to talk about it. This is the medicine that we all worry about. We all want to be healthy. Some people turn to the services of plastic surgeons, while others may consider the services of companies that specialize in DNA editing in the future. Today, A DNA editor is just an ordinary program. Yes, it works with molecules and DNA chains, modifies them, and so on, but it is a program that can be hacked and data can be substituted with all the resulting consequences. And we went to the doctor. We wanted to get rid of our belly, but something grew in a place we didn't want to remove it from at all. That is to say, it is quite a hypothetical story on one hand, because such incidents have not occurred yet, but it is very real from the perspective of any specialist who views it as a bad guy who could do something correspondingly bad. Next, the sales channels. We also have different ones, so the influence can vary accordingly. If I have trading agents, I can attack by infecting mobile devices with malicious software. If online sales are disrupted, it can take down the sales website, marketplace, platform, and so on. Or if there is a payment gateway issue, for example, I won't be able to accept money, and I will lose that revenue because customers will turn to competing platforms and buy products there, especially during seasonal sales, New Year's sales, and so on. This is quite a critical issue. From the perspective of brand stores, fake products can be launched online, and customers may turn away from us. From the perspective of word of mouth, there are also fake bots that will start spreading negativity, and this will affect our turnover on social media and the internet. This is also a topic related to cybersecurity. Well, telemarketing stores are DDoS, denial of service attacks on call centers. In other words, the call center gets clogged with useless calls, and normal customers who want to receive or purchase a product cannot get through. They cannot part with their money, and as a result, we lose that money. The same can be done, by the way, with technical support services, attacking them at certain moments in time, and the client's loyalty decreases because they did not receive timely help from the company they trusted. Next, the relationships with clients. There are also various types of attacks that exist here. If we talk about personalization and personal support for attacks on artificial intelligence, on models that study behavior, and based on that behavior offer some personalized recommendations, they can be attacked, and such precedents exist. For self-service terminals, again, either simple or skimming. Skimming refers to overlays on keyboards, such as those on ATMs, that allow the theft of PIN codes and the reading of card numbers and additional information. They have disappeared from the banking business, meaning that today skimming has been defeated in Russia. Well, at least in Russia, but from the perspective of terminals, this is still a quite realistic scheme, because one can steal the login and password to access some service through a self-service terminal and then take advantage of the opportunities that the client would have used if it were indeed them. Furthermore, automated facial recognition services are a classic deception of biometrics. We are currently seeing a certain increase in attacks on biometrics, and I believe that as the unified biometric system is more actively implemented in Russia, the number of such cases will significantly rise. If we do not think in advance about how we will recognize fakes and deep fakes from real individuals, we will face a large number of frauds, and we will have to account for this in our costs, which means passing some of the expenses onto the client or losing money by compensating for the losses we incurred due to fraudsters. Furthermore, when we talk about communities and many services in general, they are tied to big data. Accordingly, this big data can either be stolen or more likely destroyed, because stealing someone else's data is not always effective. It requires further analysis. However, destroying someone else's data is quite a popular practice, and it is starting to gain momentum now. The same ransomware which previously encrypted data and demanded a ransom now simply destroys data without any ransom demand, especially if these are such groups from neighboring states that attack Russian enterprises. Next, the streams of income. Well, this is straightforward since we are talking about money. There are various ways to attack this money. It is possible to substitute credentials. For example, one can attack through fake QR codes or replace a script on a website which will redirect purchase requests to criminals, and such examples have occurred. Probably one of the well-known cases is the Mage Card Group, which attacked a huge number of not only online stores around the world, but also the company British Airways, which did not notice for 8 days. that its script for processing payments for airline tickets was transmitting credit card data to fraudsters. And so, in these 8 days, the data of 500,000 clients was leaked. Consequently, there were disputes later, and then there was compensation for the damages. The company lost a significant amount of money in this incident simply because it did not track what script was running on its website and failed to notice that the script had been replaced not on the British Airways website itself, but on the contractor's site from which this script was loaded. And in fact, because of this, the company was unable to notice the substitution for a very long time and thus react to it in a timely manner. Next, if we talk about key resources, what could that be? Well, depending on the business, if, for example, it is something material, like the production of a certain product, then the conveyor can be stopped. Such precedents have occurred. If these are intellectual resources, then, for example, one could steal the source code of software, the source code of machine learning models, datasets, or other intellectual property, especially if the company is engaged in consulting. From the perspective of personnel, for example, communication services can be disabled, and for remote workers, this will lead to service unavailability, and consequently, the inability to process certain orders and generate revenue for the company. But there are also more complex cases involving harm to the life and health of individuals. And there have already been, unfortunately, cases of people dying due to cyber attacks. When equipment in a medical institution fails, it becomes impossible to provide medical assistance and to carry out resuscitation measures with all the resulting consequences. Well, I've already talked about the financial story, theft of money, substitution of details, and so on. Moving on, key activities. Here we can both carry out attacks on the supply chain and implant backdoors in software, which will subsequently lead to attacks on the clients of the development company and many other aspects. This often leads to a refusal of services from such companies. Logistics and delivery involve data spoofing of routes or jamming, meaning an attack on satellites to degrade the signal reception from GLONASS or GPS. Consequently, logistics companies, couriers, and delivery personnel are unable to operate to deliver goods in a timely manner. If a company claims that its value is fast delivery but fails to meet this requirement, it is accordingly obligated to compensate customers for the cost of the goods or to deliver them for free. And these are losses only due to a simple attack on satellite navigation, which today can be carried out with a small device that blocks the operation of an eGPS receiver, available for $100. And so on. We are already approaching the finale. There are quite a few examples here. What I would probably like to say, closer to the very end, what should we do with all of this? This is probably the most important thing we will do. The first thing is that the incidents affecting businesses today can be completely different. These are not just scary stories, they are real cases. There are instances when a business completely leaves the market, even leading to bankruptcy. There are few such cases, I will say right away, so one must always start from the fact that there are attacks, millions and billions of them, there are hundreds of risks, and there are unacceptable actions that will lead to catastrophic consequences for your business. Therefore, from a business perspective, one should look from the bottom up rather than from the top down, meaning one should focus on what is unacceptable. There are typically 3 to 5 such events for any business, no more. And so, focus specifically on this. Then you will actually build the protection system. I recommend starting with hygiene measures. This includes segmentation, strong passwords, and regular updates. Then, depending on which digital transformation technology you are applying, such as biometrics, artificial intelligence, big data, quantum technologies, blockchain, smart contracts, there will be specific protection mechanisms and those mentioned by the previous speaker regarding VASP, and so on and so forth. Yes, this is important, but I don't want to burden you with technical details right now. The main thing is to start with the basics, with fundamental things that often don't even require money, but you will significantly improve your level of security. Later on, you will most likely turn to specialists. This is a very important point. You can build security on your own, you can entrust it to specialists, or you can find a balance. It's somewhat like getting from point A to point B. Some people drive their own cars, some order a taxi, and some use car sharing. The same applies to security. You can build it yourself, outsource everything to an external company, or use some rental model, a service model in cybersecurity. All these options are viable today. Perhaps that's all I wanted to say regarding cybersecurity and the business model of a modern company. And thank you very much for your attention.
Alexey, thank you very much for such a detailed account. I believe you are one of the gurus in cybersecurity. A question from the online environment. We are a small company, and it is expensive for us to implement complex cybersecurity systems. What do you recommend for self-protection? Where can one learn? And in what cases is it impossible to do without external consultants?
Well, I advise, first of all, to implement automatic software update mechanisms. This is free and is built into any software today. Enable multi-factor authentication. This also does not require significant costs. These are already two mechanisms that will significantly raise the level of protection by about 80%. As for inviting external experts, it largely depends on the business models in place and the availability of in-house specialists. If there are IT specialists, then you can invite a security expert once who will outline the threats, describe the threat models, and say, here, do this, this, and this, and then the IT specialist will look at it. Can they do that? If they can, great. If not, they turn to outsourcing and address this task in the initial stages. Then, as the business grows, there is always the task of building its own information security service with at least 1 or 2 people in the department.
I understand. Thank you very much, Alexey. Thank you.